All right. Hey, so welcome to this episode of Trader Development, where traders talk about their journey from novice to consistent profitability. And today's guest is Luis Behena, all the way from Los Angeles, right, Luis?
Yes.
You're living out in California. I think it's like 6 a.m. where you are right now,
So yeah, 6:30,
and the kids are
6:33.
the kids are about to get up. You had a good trading day so far?
So far, so good. Wouldn't have been up since 2 in the morning.
Good Lord. Yeah, I think a lot of us are doing that. So let's just jump into the interview. Let me start with this first question. So, if you were to describe your current trading personality in one word, what do you think that word would be?
Patience.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Uh, it's you have to have patience. Well, it depends on the style of trader you are, but in my trading personality, I really have to have patience since I trade the higher time frame levels. Sometimes the trade might not be working. Sometimes the trade goes deep into your level or into your zone. Sometimes it's about on the verge to stop you out, and if you have that that mm, if you have that sensation where oh, you know what, it's not going to my direction, I'm just going to get out, then uh, you have to get out, and the next thing you know, it goes in the direction you had anticipated. So it requires experience more than anything for you to develop the patience. That's I guess how I could actually kind of come to a conclusion with this whole thing.
Would you also consider, in addition to patience, it's about an expectation? Do you have an expectation that a trade's going to work out and you're just being patient, or are you patiently working through the trade life cycle with no expectation?
I don't have expectations that the trade is always going to work out. I mean, that's where the managing comes into part. Because if you're just taking trades and not managing your account well, and not having and you don't have a tolerable um, risk amount per day or per trade, and you're just trading, then that could actually lead to chaos and uh, personal experience at the beginning of the trades, with my trading career. If you don't know how to manage the trade, then yeah, it could very well go wrong. So expectations, no. I mean, you set the trade, and of course, I mean, you're gonna go with the trend and everything. You're gonna try to get everything in higher probabilities, but the thing can never work out. Sometimes you might go through 8 or 10 straight losses, and you might think, well, what's wrong with my technique? And it's not the technique. You just have to be patient.
Okay. Were you always like that? Were you always patient when you first started trading, or has that changed over time, or were you always the same?
Not at all. I think the markets or this whole thing has taught me a valuable lesson, because at the beginning, I when I first started trading, I wanted to be this active trader where I wanted to get in, get out, and just how probably a lot of people see it when you talk to them that you're a trader. They probably think that you're stuck to the computer and you're going in and out. And I mean, it's there's those kind of traders, scalpers, and they're good as well. But I wanted to be that kind of trader as well. And as much as I wanted to be that kind of trader, I found out that that wasn't me. And so that's how I developed myself. And it was a course. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's a I think I came to a realization that it took me about a year and a half, or a year and a half, for me to find out that, you know what, I need to move up to higher time frame levels, and that happened throughout time.
Would you consider yourself a patient guy in general,
Not
or
at
or do
all.
you not at all?
No,
So
you could ask my wife, and I am not patient at all.
so you have to exercise a form of discipline in your trading to be patient?
And you know what? I'm glad you brought that up, because that's another thing I developed is discipline. And you have to be disciplined enough that when you take the trade, You have to be disciplined enough because sometimes you'll see a news report or you'll probably see some other people going in the opposite direction of your trade, and you might want to go, oh man, you know what? I might be on the wrong side of the trade. But for all you know, he might be a scalper and he's just probably going in for 5, 10 pips when you're going in the opposite direction and you're aiming for those 50, 100 pips. Uh, so it's a completely, you really have to be disciplined enough to say, you know what, I'm sticking to the trade regardless. I set it up and it's done. Let's move on.
Okay. Um, when did you first begin technical trading? Not investing, not buy and hold, but when did you first start this sort of technical trading that you're doing now? How many years has it been? What year did you start?
I I could consider that I started like when I opened up my real account was in 2015. And I'm sorry, December 15, 2015. I remember that date. That was my first original account and a live account. And I went through I broke my first account, a $500 account. And then my second account, which is about $1,000. I was on the verge. I was already down like 50%, and then until FXCM broke down, or they went they pretty much had their stuff going on. So I was on the verge of actually breaking that second account until I started getting more 2017, mid 2017. So I think I've been technical trading about a year and a half already. Um, just doing nothing but analysis, technical analysis, higher time frames. Whenever I'm day trading, I'm analyzing the 2 hours or 30 minutes, and so yeah, I've been doing this for about a year and a half, the technical analysis side.
Okay. All right. So other than OTA, have you done any type of formal trading education?
No, it's all been no, yeah. Then again, yeah. I I know the basics of everything about OTA, but I like to hang around with other types of traders, people that trade Fibonacci, people that trade support and resistance, and that's all they do. And every once in a while, I'll go to these meetup locations here in LA, and I'll just hang around with them, and I pick their brains out and just start hanging around with those people.
All right.
And that's how they share their information. I share my information, and that's how we become better at what we do.
Did you ever have a trading mentor, somebody that was regularly reviewing your trading results and offering suggestions or guidance, anything like that, or was it all you?
Yeah, I did have one. An OTA instructor, two OTA instructors, by the way. But I'd say that I was probably 20% of it. The majority of it was just me. I mean, I can't. Some people find it hard to believe, but I, I spent the first year and a half, probably 2 years of trading. I was spending about 6, 8 hours, not trading necessarily, but just studying charts, 6 to 8 hours a day, relentlessly, and that's every day. I mean, Saturdays and Sundays as well. And I still do that right now, this minute, and like after weekends. I consider myself a good higher time frame trader, but I'm trying to get to the point where I could easily scalp these. So on the weekends, I spend time on demo mode, just scalping and just trying to get better at what I do.
Yeah, and
A lot of hours.
we're gonna dig into that a little bit later into the interview, and I'm glad you brought it up because we definitely want to address the topic of practice and how top traders practice. Just getting back to the mentor though, did you find any of the mentoring useful? Was it helpful?
Yeah, any kind of mentorship you have is always useful.
Did did you
You
think it
all you
improved?
always want. Did it improve? Definitely, it did. You always need some kind of mentor, some kind of coaches. I think any professional needs some. You're always gonna need some kind of mentor or coach throughout your career. Um,
What kind of mentoring was it? Was it purely on trading mechanics or was it psychology? What was it?
no, they were purely on the mechanics on the trading. They taught us what they taught us throughout the week, and then I was able to get their email, and then I was just emailing them. One instructor, I was able to get their phone number, and I was not constantly because I didn't want to blow up their messages, but I will not send them my profitable trades. I will send them my losing trades, the ones that after analyzing it myself, I was still not able to understand why I took a loss. Those are the ones I would send. But I mean, after I analyze it and I go, oh, you know what? No, I did wrong on this one. And I know where. Then I wouldn't waste their time.
So you did
But
that like once, twice, 10 times, 100 times?
no, I still do that. I still do that right now to this
You
point.
still do that.
Yeah,
You still get outside opinions as to why a trade went bad on you.
I still do that. Yeah, I still do that right now.
The same mentors.
Same interest. I will always consider myself a student. I will always consider myself a student.
Where did you develop this attitude, Luis?
Um,
Were you like this in school, in high school? Did you go to college? Did you figure this out? How did you figure this out?
the mentality.
Yeah, the mindset that you have. I'm always going to be a student.
Oh, well, yeah, I think you kind of have to know a little bit of background for me. So I we have we run banquet halls here in downtown LA, and downtown LA is a really aggressive marketplace, and it's getting really expensive here. So you're either going to get outperformed by other businesses around the area, or you got to outperform them. And it's a hunger game here. It's who's going to be the best at what they do here. And my first 2 years in business, it was really hard. But I had to make a decision whether I go back to my AT. I used to work for AT&T. I used to go back go back to my day job trading or do the business side. And I kept on grinding. I mean, believe me, I mean, we were living really tight. I mean, you name it. I mean, if it was, it got to the point where the needs and wants, right? But uh, I never gave up. Never gave up. And now we've been running for 19 years in business, and we're actually considered now one of the top 3, 4 businesses in the area that what we do here in LA. And I think I got that from that because I never give up. I might have loss after loss after loss, and I just said to myself, I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna keep. I know because if there's other successful traders that are doing it out there, I could be the next one. And
Do you take losses or business failures or a lost business account? Do you take any of that stuff personally as
never,
though it's a personal failure, or do you see it as a learning opportunity?
my first one, I did take it personal. As a matter of fact, I remember my first business venture. I went into depression for like 2 weeks. And then, luckily, my father was he's still alive, but he was able to pick me up and say, "Hey, you know what? It's just money. It comes and goes, and take it as a business expense. Take it as a learning lesson." And ever since that, I don't take anything personal. Listen, if you fail, uh, you gotta first admit what did you do wrong. I mean, if like remember the first account that I broke. I was doing everything the instructors told us not to do. And here I was doing them, right? So it's no one's fault but your fault. If you're not getting up early in the morning when they're telling you that the majority of the market is moving in London, and you're getting up in the late morning after probably 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and you're trying to make some good pips, it it can happen maybe, but it's highly unlikely. You're better off getting up in the morning trading the London session. So
Getting
it's
back getting back to that idea of a mentor, do you think that there were any drawbacks to using a mentor? Was there a dependency there that you didn't like? Was there, or have you just said, hey, once you find a good mentor, it's flat out good?
I don't think I ever took anything negative from it. If anything,
Okay.
I
No
definitely think
drawbacks.
it's positive. No drawbacks at all. No.
Okay. Good. Good. So I'm gonna ask you the next question, which I'm hoping that what I can do here is I can give you a view of it as we're talking. Otherwise, I'm just gonna have to ask you the question. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm just gonna have to ask you the question. No, there it is. So, um, if you were to rate yourself as a trader, um, on a scale of 1 to 5, that you're either a break even or net loser. Number 2, you're consistently profitable trader. Number 3, you're able to meet your financial trading goals with regularity, right? Whatever your goal is at the moment, not your trading needs, but your trading goals. Number 4 is that you cover all of your living expenses. And number 5 is that you exceed your living expenses and you're growing your bankroll. Where would you put yourself on that list of 1 to 5?
Number 3, I'm able to meet my financial trading goals
Good.
with regularity. Of course, the goal is always to be number 5, uh, uh, exceed the living expenses. Once again, it's a process. It's a process.
So you started trading live in December 15th, 2015.
Yes.
How long did it take you, just, ballpark figure, roughly how long did it take you before you closed out your first 500 live trades?
Oh, that was fast. That was that was I remember when I started trading, I used to take about 30 to 40 trades a day.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do the you said first 500 trades.
Yep.
That would be
20
what
days.
40. Yeah, there you go. Within a
20
month.
days. Did you burn up? And that's the account you blew up, right? The $500
No,
one?
hold on. Get this. My first $500 account almost lasted me a year.
Really?
Yeah. and what's here's and I was taking pictures of all my trades. I have them on Instagram. I was a breakout trader. And there was days where I was pulling in about 150 to 160, 200 pips a day. The weakest day was probably like about a 60 pip day. That's just breakouts. Of course. I mean, then again, sometimes when your ego gets in the way, it's like you want more and more. It's just a matter of time when the markets will teach you a lesson. And of
Yeah, because
course,
that's when you
it
start
happened.
making them. That's when you start making the mistakes, right? You start moving your
Yeah,
stops. You think you're right.
yeah.
Yeah. How many trades do you think you've completed since you first started trading? From the first day you started trading to now, like what? 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000?
You know what? I don't know now. I mean,
Do you know how many trades you take a month, a year?
now, yeah, I do. I average about 3 trades a day now.
Yeah.
So
Round
that's
trips?
probably about
Three
12.
round trips or three
Yeah.
setups?
No, three setups today. Here today, I am in the New Zealand dollar, pound dollar, and the Aussie dollar. So that's 3 trades right there,
Okay. So
and with add-ons. Yeah.
do you ever sim trade or is it all
I
live?
do, I do on the weekends, but that's demo trading. That's the simulator mode. No, the only time when I did demo trading was 2 months prior from me opening up my live account, and that was because I wanted to get familiar with the platform. Um, One of the mentors that I had was said, you know what, open up a live account, even if you trade micros. you're gonna get a sensation of the psychology that goes in when you're trading live money. And that's exactly what I did.
Do you think it's true? Do you think trading sim is better than trading live, or it's equal to trading live, or do you think live is better?
Mm, it depends on how you see it. I say, okay, so if you really want to know if you really want to know, listen, I think anyone can be a hero on demo trading. I think anyone can do it, right? But once you open up a live account, um, the psychology plays a big part, and when you know you're losing real money, maybe on a demo account, you'll stick to it, and because you'll say, oh, it's just play money, right? And you'll stick to the trade. But if it's real money and you know you're down a certain percentage or a certain amount of money, I'm talking firsthand that I used to get out, and the next thing you know, it'll turn in my direction. And so when you're trading real money, uh, if you start trading micros, and you start developing yourself to 2 micros, 3 micros, five, six, seven minis, um, that's how I think I kind of I kind of beat the whole micros and minis, and you just start developing yourself up. Um,
So
it
back
depends how
to
you see it.
on the sim trading, you said you still do it, right? You still do it on the weekends?
Every weekend, yeah. Oh yeah, even now that I do simulate. The reason why is because I'm trying to get good at the day trading. My scalping, not necessarily scalping, but I kind of want to see. I always try different technicalities. How if I try, you know what, if I try this way of trading, I mean, what are my odds or what are my percentages? And I do that every weekend.
How do you find time with the kids?
You know what? That's a good thing about that. Because I have a really supporting wife. My wife, ever since I started trading, it's a family owned business, by the way. So she said, you know what? If you're really going to commit to this, I'll take care of the business. And she takes care of the business. I'm still in it. I still help out on the weekends. But see, it's not like I have a 9 to 5 job here. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
done. Really, it's what 6:30. Well, we started at 6:30, right? I'm done trading. I'm done. Now we get to take the kids to school at 8 o'clock. Um, we work out in the mornings, and then we do our errands, and then we open up the business. We get to pick up the kids. We don't. I I love it. I love it.
Was it like that at the beginning when you were practicing? Were you spending a lot more time at the like it sounds like now you've kind of like at least gotten to a spot where you're meeting your financial goals. But at the beginning when you were trying to learn, were you putting in a lot more time than you are now?
Oh yeah, yeah. Once again, I was putting 6 to 8 hours,
Just on the
and I
charts?
said just on charts, just on charts. Many people find that hard to believe, but my wife could be. She's like living testimony that I was relentlessly putting hours and
How
day
long
into
did how
charts.
long did you do that? If you were to estimate how many hours you put just working charts,
The
no trades, just learning, would you say 1,000,
eight
2,000, 5,000?
8 months, 8 straight months, complete 6 to 8 hours. I know,
5 days a week,
I know.
six
That's
days a week,
7 days a week.
7 days a week for
seven
eight
days a
months.
week, 8 months. I know. I
That's
didn't take.
that's
I didn't.
32 weeks. That's 32 weeks. That's 220, 230 days at 8 hours a day. That's 2,000 hours, 4,000 hours,
I don't know how
2,400
many
hours.
hours is that. Never
That's
took. I never took.
well, I
Never did
mean,
the math on that one.
it's so 230 times 8 hours, right? Is 20. It's 16, 20. It's about 1,800 hours.
1800, yeah.
Yeah, so somewhere between 1,500 to 2,000 hours, right before you started feeling comfortable. So that's kind of interesting. Um,
Uh,
let's talk about the signals, the trade signal. You know how you get a setup? I call that a signal, right? So
uh-huh.
when you see a setup, and it's not trade management, it's the actual setup. When you're saying, here's the signal for me to get into a trade, how many different types of signals have you experimented with? I know like OTA is supply and demand, right?
Right.
And Jody's got his own kind of signals that are based on supply and demand, but
Hmm.
he uses a much more he uses a much more elaborate signal to get in. How
Right.
many different types of signals have you attempted to use, and which ones have worked, which ones haven't worked?
Ah, man. Okay, so I'm gonna go back a little bit on this question. Okay, so when I first joined OTA, what sold me was that you could take unlimited classes, right?
Yep.
So I went through here. Let me count them: 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 10, 12 instructors. Okay, and every instructor has their own unique way of trading. So how many different ways have I tried trading or signals? 12 different ways.
Yep. Yep. I feel your pain. I've done that.
12 different ways. So,
How many of
but
those have
there's
worked? How many of those have worked for you?
no, I only use two now. I only stick to two now. It's
Are they
Jody's and David.
so is it a hybrid of Jody's and David, or is it your interpretation of Jody's and David, or is it purely David and Jody's?
It's pure. I think it's. I don't know how to answer that question. So it's purely Jody's and David's, purely. But I still take into consideration like these other instructors, how they taught higher time frames, and you know what, watch out for these kind of candles or this kind of formations. Um, I still use it, um, but if anything, they're probably like 10% of my trading strategy. The majority of it though is David's and Jody's way how I trade.
And when you say David, you mean David who?
David Warner.
Yeah, Dave Warner. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
famous on the Forex. So let's
yeah.
talk about a little bit about trade management. Do you set and forget your trades, or do you actively manage your trade to an exit?
No, on a higher time frame, I'm a set and forget.
Set and forget.
Hmm. At higher time frames, I do set and forgets.
So if you fiddle with the trade,
So
do you ever do that? Are
there's
you ever tempted to fiddle with the trade?
no, unless you do. So when I say set and forgets is when I say set and forgets is where I place the entry, right, and that's one. Or like what happened today, I was looking at the pound Swiss, and I said, you know what, I like the level here to go long, and I was expecting that to go to my level today. It didn't go there, so I got the trade out, but I did place some alerts. I still have some alerts because I still like the level. So it's one of those confirmations where, you know what, if price comes down to the level, I got to look at how it arrived there. And if it arrived nice and clean, then I'll still take it pretty much
Yeah.
on confirmation. Um, but if it was just kept on bouncing its way down, I'll most likely not take it anymore. So I do, in a way, have expectations as far as like, you know what, if my trade doesn't get triggered by such and such time or such and such date, I'll take the trade out, something
When
like that.
when you're in a trade though, once it's triggered, do you still set and forget? Like you leave your stop where it is and you leave your target where it is and you walk away, or do you manage your stop? Do you manage your target? Like, do you manage any part of that once it's in?
So once I'm in the trade and I'm at least 25 or 50 pips up, I'll manage I'll manage the stop loss.
So you,
I'll bring it up.
yeah. So
Now
you
I'll
trail,
wake it up.
you manually trail your stop, but that's
Hmm.
about it.
Right, and I definitely take into consideration news. If we have some kind of news event that's gonna definitely affect the currency that I'm trading, I may just be tempted to close it out before the news comes in.
Okay.
For all we know, that news event can actually blow out
Yeah,
your stop loss, right?
absolutely. Do you journal? Do you journal any of your trades?
I still do, but I don't do it the way I want to. What I'm doing right now is I've been doing it for 6 months, where I have this notebook, and remember I said how I take about 2, 3 trades a day. Where, well, I actually write them down and I go, okay, you know what? I'm short on the such and such currency. Here's my entry. Here's my stop. Here's my target. It's not so much the entry, stop, and target, but what I write down is, okay, did this trade meet my guidelines? Okay, why did I take, let's say for example, today the pound dollar. Why did I take the pound dollar? I mean, was how was the dollar index doing? I write notes down. Okay, the dollar index was pumping up, and the pound was one of the weakest. Okay, this is the reasons why. So at the end, if the trade didn't work out, then I go back and I go, okay, why did you actually take the trade in to begin with? That's how I journal my trades. It's not the way I would like to, but it still works though.
So you do it manually. You journal manually
I do it manually. I do it manually.
in every trade.
Yeah,
Okay.
I could go back till 2000. I'm sorry, I could go back till 2018, January 9th, 2018. That's my first speech.
do you have an explicit trade plan that like it's like a document that you've written that you keep updating all the time? Like, do you have anything like that, or is it all in your head?
No, it's mainly because it keeps on. I keep on changing it. Not very often, but every once in a while. Um, like if I go, you know what? This currency is not. I'm a pullback trader, by the way. You know what? This particular currency just is not pulling back. It's not good at pullbacks. You know what? I might just have to take the breakout. I may modify my trade plan, but just based on that particular currency.
So it's so
Pro, go ahead.
is it written down? Is your trade plan written down?
No, no, no. It's
Then
just mainly based on how I the because remember I spent so much time on these peers that I kind of know their behaviors, um, how they behave.
have you ever gone through any type of period in the last 4 years of trading where you weren't profitable for some period of time?
First year and a half.
The first year and a half.
Yeah.
And then since then, do you ever go through unprofitable periods? Like do you
No,
go through like
yeah. Yeah, I was just talking to the guys on the other chat room where I was just giving them a scenario that I went through last month or about a month and a half. I told them how the benefits of sticking to your trade plan works, and I was telling them here, share that about a month ago, about a month and a half ago, I was going through like stop loss after stop loss. I think it was like 8 or 9 stop losses in a row, and when I get those moments, I'm like, okay, what am I doing wrong, right? So I go back to my drawing board and I go, okay, here's okay, maybe I could modify this, maybe I could do that. And in this case, I just came to realization that you know what, you did everything that you were supposed to do, right? And I was just getting stopped out. And about about a month ago or about 3 weeks ago, um, just two trades, just two trades actually brought me back up to break even and replaced my 8 or 9 stop outs. So what am I trying to say with this is that um, if you stick to your trade plan, stick to your guts, stick to your trade plan, and you should be okay. Um, so I don't know. I mean, it's just how you could be a consistent loser, but if you know how to manage your trades really well, and you have once again, this is all goes back to your trading plan though. But if you have a high risk reward ratio, especially on these higher time frames, 2, 3 trades might wipe out your entire losing streaks that you have.
Yeah,
And
it's the
just
theory of fat tails, right? In the market, you get exceptionally large end results, fat tail results, big losses and big wins, right? 2 or 3 standard deviations at the end of the curve.
right,
So you've got
yeah,
to you got to be in the market to take advantage of those. You got to keep
yeah,
trading. Have you ever had a really big drawdown? Have you ever had like a huge drawdown, like you sat back and said, "Wow, that's a big drawdown."
yeah. Dollar cat at the beginning of my trading career, 2016. Even though they told me not to trade Wednesdays, tripled over. We had cat news. My stop was about 20 pips away from current price, 25 pips. I had left the trade open. I said, okay, you know what? It's not that much in profit. Cat news came out. Um, that thing blew through my stop loss. It gapped up 88 pips. Um, that was a learning lesson. Yeah,
Yeah. Have you ever forced yourself to stop live trading in the last 4 or 5 years?
yeah, yeah. Actually, that happened in my first year and a half, 2 years, I think. There was a time where I don't think I doubted myself, but um, I was just taking loss after loss. Um, and I really had to get the whole trading techniques, I guess. I just needed a trade plan. Like, you know how Jody says, you know what, if you have this and this and this, then take it, right? I didn't have that. Um, and once I went to that first class, second class, it's like the light bulb went on. And I go, okay, you know what? Let's just do that consistently. And that's when just things started changing and turning around.
What have you been your top trading errors? The stuff that you look at and you go, those killed me.
I, you name it. I mean, it's been. I think everyone as traders, we all go through the same mistakes. But I guess if you really had to, like, if I had to just pick one or two, um, going against the trend, that's been my major killer, especially in higher time frames. If you're looking at 4 hours and above, those things can easily wipe you out. So yeah, you never want. That's like if you, but like the best top one is I day trades. I'll go against the trend just for in and out. But no, not for these. I'm sorry, or these scalpings or just kind of day trading in and out. But whenever I'm doing these higher time frames, I don't do it against the trend. And if I do place it, if I ever do, it's probably going to be less than a 1%er on that one.
What kind of trading challenges do you still continue to experience? Is there anything that's still like you sit there and you go, geez, I'm still doing this stuff. I'm still fighting this.
My greed,
Your greed.
yeah.
Tell me about that.
Uh, um, it's greed plays a big part. I think. I don't know for any, but greed for me is it's like you want more and you want more until you give up everything you had already. And this is why I'm actually right now on demo mode because I'm sorry, in simulator mode on the weekends because I want to be able to look at these 30-minute, 20-minute charts where I'm going, okay, you know what? Is this the point where I'm expecting the reversal? Is this the point where um, it should turn around. Okay, well, you know what? If it is, let me go ahead and take my profits here. So I could get a, that is, if anything, that is my greed part gets in the way.
Do you
So
think you have a plan to overcome that?
that's exactly what I'm doing right now. This is why I'm doing
The
on
sim trading?
the sim trading, so I can kind of see the lower time frames and where I'm expecting a pullback. Look at it from a lower time frame perspective, and if I see that turnaround, and pretty much combine it with the dollar index as well, and if I see those two things turning around at the same time, I go, oh, okay, you know what? This is the part. Let me just get out from there.
So you're practicing, right? You're doing
I
some deliberate practice to try to figure out how to overcome this.
Yeah, yeah. That's that's exactly what I'm doing right now.
Do you do you read or listen to books on trading?
Yeah, every that's another thing. I don't necessarily read, but I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I have this Audible, and I'm stacked with books right now.
You listen to Audible?
Uh, yeah,
Yeah, I'm the same
yeah.
way. I must have I got it. I mean, I do the maximum license and I'm still like every month I'm still over. I love Audible. What's your favorite
Yeah,
book right now? What are you listening to right now?
trading and bets.
By Annie Dukes.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a good book.
that's good. Yeah, that's one I'm still in it right now.
Yeah, she wrote it. That's a very interesting book. The one I'm listening to right now is called The Practicing Mind, and it's kind of an interesting concept. I've been listening to a lot of stuff about practicing lately, and it's really opened up my eyes.
And you know another one, now that we're talking about this, another one that really kicked in with me with the greed part is I don't know if you heard about this one, the what I learned losing $1 million.
No,
Oh
I'm
man,
writing it
talk
down.
about greed. Talk about greed. This is the guy that will actually. This is the guy where this is actually one of the books where I say, you know what, I gotta do something about the way my greediness and greediness that I really gotta do something about it. And this is the perfect example of what I do. This guy is a perfect example of what I do. I catch myself doing every once in a while.
Very cool. I'm going to look that book up. Um, so now let's get into practice. Let's talk about practice for a minute. You said you engage in practice. You engaged in practice at the very beginning. You spent a good 1,500 to 2,000 hours at the beginning. You still practice all the time. Right now, you're in sim. You're working through something. So tell me, even as a seasoned trader now, right? Because you've been at it for 3 to 4 years, so you're starting to be on the other side of the curve. When do you do your practice? How often? Is it daily? Is it weekly? When do you do it?
Mm, when I practice trading
Yeah.
every day, um, yeah, I practice every day.
So you're in a sim
Here, like
account.
on the simulator mode.
Well, I'm saying like practice. I mean, so when you're live trading, you're placing a trade for the purpose of having that trade make money. I mean, that's the purpose
Right.
of, right. But when I'm talking about practice, so I'm not considering live trading practice, right? When do you engage in non-live practice?
Mm, well, weekends is when I do the simulator mode, but I mean, I still consider the hours that I put in every day. Like, for example, when I get into the business and I know that everything's taken care of, and I have some time to be on my charts, I'll go on my charts and start looking for overnights. I still consider that practice because you're still looking at higher time frames. You're still looking for the trends. You're looking for your zones. Um, so that happens for me I'm talking Pacific Standard Time because I live here Pacific. That happens for me from 4 to 7, 3 good hours.
Okay.
Uh, three, sometimes even 8 o'clock.
What do you do during that practice? What specific things are you doing?
I looked at where the pullbacks happen, where the explosive move happened. How is a dollar correlating with that particular pair? If I am going to take a particular, let's just say a pound dollar trade, are all my pounds moving in the same direction? I look at the correlations as well. Yeah.
You do that in a live account?
Yeah. Yeah.
You do all your charting there? Do you ever do,
Uh,
do you ever do like, chart replays? Do you ever like go back in time and do like a hard right edge replay?
I think that's more like the simulator mode, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty much,
Well,
yeah,
there's
it's
two
pretty much
types
what
of
I
sim
do.
mode, right? There's two types of sim mode. There's a sim mode where you can place trades in a live market, and then there's like market replay, which is different than it's sim, but it's like a replay of a market as opposed to the current market that's operating, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like current sim and then there's replay sim. It's two different things.
Okay.
Do you ever do replay? Do you ever like replay a historical chart and like work through it?
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
then well on FXCM you could
Yeah.
replay the whole thing. You pick any month and then you could go at it and just keep on doing placing trades in and out, in and out.
So you do this almost every day.
Yeah, this is what I do now.
Why do you
Listen,
find this? Why do you
I
find this so helpful?
uh, helpful is I don't think it's I just I'm doing this because I've seen and I've witnessed other people um being able to replace all their income of whatever they used to do, and they're pretty much doing this for a living. And I'm not gonna say that I don't like the business that I'm in right now. I've been doing it for 19 years, but what I am saying is that if I could get to the point where I could hire more people to take care of the business, and I could do this from wherever I want, yeah, that's the kind of lifestyle I want. It's not gonna
Well,
happen overnight.
my question is more around the practicing. Why do you find the practicing so helpful?
You need practice. Like
You mean
you
you can't just place trades and win?
no you can't you name it. I mean every every professional athletes they go through amounts of hours of practice and practice uh for them to be where they're at right now.
Do you
Coaches,
break
mentors.
do you break trading down into like little pieces and practice those little pieces, or do you practice the whole life cycle of a trade, like from beginning
No,
to end?
from beginning to end.
You don't ever
Because
like practice just finding zones?
not necessarily. I used to, not anymore. I have indicators now, uh, where it just draws the zones for you now. I used to. It's good for you though if to find the zones, but now I don't. I don't do it anymore.
But there was a time when you used to break it down. You
Oh
used to break
yeah.
down like the elements of a trade, like trade management, like when to exit a trade that's going against you. Did you wait until you were in a live trade for that, or did you just like sit down on a chart and go through and say, okay, it's anchor breaking against me. I would get out here. I would get out here. Like, did you do that, or did you just like place a trade and then manage it, and that was your practice?
I think both. I still do both.
Okay.
Now, yeah, I still do both because if I'm day trading and it's just anchor breaking against me, then yeah, you know what? Two anchor breaks, I gotta get out. Um, but whenever I'm on simulator mode, I do that as well. Um,
You play any
so
types of
yeah,
games? You play any types of games that involve uncertainty, like poker or blackjack?
no, I did no, I had a bad experience. No, I had a really bad experience on that. That was an experience. I said, you know what? I don't even know what I'm doing here, but that's no, I don't.
Are you a video gamer? Any online games or video games?
No, no,
Nothing like that.
no. I'm obsessed with trading. That's the only thing I think I am.
Do you have a daily routine that involves any type of like specific tasks that you do in a regular order? Like do you have like a set of rituals that you do every day? or do you just wake up, have a cup of coffee, and go straight to trading?
Now I do. Well, it's pretty much, yeah. I get up in the morning, 1:55, 2 o'clock in the morning. Get up, coffee, get in the charts. It takes me about 20, 30 minutes to kind of get in the rhythm of
Yeah.
where things are going. And then once I'm done trading, now we recently, well, me and my wife just kind of recently started getting into the habit of quinoa. You hit the treadmill, go work out, and then after that, we'll go out and do whatever we want.
So in your daily routine, you've got some non-trading elements, like you just mentioned, working out, exercise. I mean, are there non-trading elements in your daily routine that you think are helpful, like exercising or meditation or eating a certain way? Like, is there anything like that that you point to that says, boy, you know what, I'm glad I'm doing that and it's kind of helpful to my trading?
Um, well, I don't know if you've seen videos of me, but I used to be really extremely overweight. uh, where I that my father went through so many things, health condition wise, that it just kind of opened my eyes and said, you know what, you need to do something now, or it's gonna bite you when you least expect it. So now, oh, but you know what though? Ever since I started working out and I started losing a lot of weight, it's like for me to getting up at 2 in the morning, it's like okay, sometimes I beat the alarm, where I get up even before the alarm kicks in. And that I started noticing when once I started working out, started losing the weight. Because when I was extremely overweight, it was a hassle. It was a hassle.
How much weight have you lost?
About 60 pounds.
Congratulations. I know what that 60 pounds feels like. I've done that. That's a lot. That's a lot of weight.
Yeah.
So congratulations. Keep at it, man. It's
Thanks.
hard. It's hard to keep off too, but keep at it. So when it comes to trading, do you think it's a talent you're born with, or is it something that anybody can be taught and that they have to work hard at it?
No, I think anyone can do this. I really do think anyone can do this. Sometimes it might be intimidating for some people that just sees charts for the very first time. It was for me. But I think really, see, here's the thing. I think trading is not even, many people see trading and I think it's all math. And I think it's more of an art. Um, I really do think it's more of an art. Can you draw your own plan and just kind of be in sync and and feel the passion for it, right? I think that's more of an art when it comes to trading. So anyone can really do this.
What do you think's been the top factor that's influenced your progression from being a novice to the current skill? Is it just determination? Is it just you wanted to do this? Was it somebody that encouraged you? Like, what do you think's the biggest enabler for you to have become a good trader?
Man, I'm hungry, brother. I'm hungry.
You wanted
I
it.
come from yeah, no, my parents are they, we come from a really extreme poor family. You name it here, L.A., South Central. I mean, come on, it doesn't get any worse than that. Watts, Compton, you name it. That's the area where I grew up from. Um, so yeah, once you live and you go through all that stage, um,
You're
and you
determined.
want in, yeah, oh yeah, you're hungry. You're hungry. There's no way, it's nowhere to go but up now.
If you were to go back to the beginning of your trading journey, what would you continue to do? Like, you say, you know what, I started doing this at the very beginning and I'm still doing that. I would continue to do that. I would tell somebody to continue doing that. Is there anything like that? Any behavior or any routine or skill set that you had right at the beginning? Or did you or
The-
have you abandoned everything?
I don't think it's considered a skill set, but I think you just touched it right now. Is the determination.
You continue to be determined, right? Don't
Determined.
lose that.
Don't lose it. Yeah. I mean, I mean, people paid a lot of money to go to this OTA. It's not cheap, right? Come on, it's not
No,
cheap.
no.
And and you're gonna go, right? And then just because it doesn't work out for the first 3 months, you're gonna give up. Come on, come on. It's not gonna work out like that. It's just not. This is a profession. This is a professional environment. There's other people out there in the market that are just waiting for you to log on and take your money. And you gotta really know what you're doing. And I think that for the people that are brand new at trading, consider your first account your donation to the market. So if you are gonna open it up, make sure you open it up with a very very small account, and consider that your tuition expense for your to get into the profession. I don't know if I.
If you were to look back at the stuff that you were doing earlier on, is there anything that you'd stop doing sooner? Like you say, I was doing this. I wish I had stopped doing that a lot earlier.
I think it's easy to say, but hard to do. It's just stick to the rules, follow the rules, do everything that the instructors are telling you not to do. But I happen to stumble across other traders, and they pretty much said the same thing. Yeah, even though they told us not to do that, I still went ahead and did it because I wanted to feel what a gap out is, what's being stopped out, what the gap is, what trading, having trades open on Wednesdays, rollovers, uh, trading the news. Come on, you name it. Uh, I did everything. I did everything, and it's easy to say once again, but it's I I I wanted it. I think I wanted to feel that. Okay, now I know what you're talking about. You know what? Okay, I'll never do it again.
Tell me something that you've learned in the last month that, something that became clearer to you or something that you say, wow, I didn't even know that. Was there like an aha moment in the last month for you, or do you feel like you're pretty much on top of your game now?
It's that I think we do. I think it's not an aha moment, but I think it made my purpose a little bit more clear. Where I would think I was telling you how about a month ago, a month and a half ago, I went through like 10 straight losses.
Yeah.
I think it was like 8 or 10 losses, and just 2 trades pretty much recovered all my losses. Um, So that is one of those moments, those aha, not really an aha moment, but just a reinforcement that, hey, you know what? Uh, just stick to your plan. Stick to your
Yeah.
plan and
Yeah.
things will work out.
What's the number one thing you would advise the novice traders that are on Discord listening to this? What would you advise them to do to improve their trading? The
Hmm,
folks that are struggling.
what would I tell them to do? Um, just don't. It's a struggle. I do hear every once in a while people are struggling. Um, just don't give up. Don't give up. Keep on doing what you're doing. It's not, the light bulbs are not going to come in overnight. And remember, you're trying to learn this in a week, right? And it's just not going to happen in a week's class. You need the experience. Um, but that is because I, it's just not going to happen overnight. And I'll tell you what my wife tells me. You know what? She tells me, you know what? Well, you know what I see in you is that you're not only are you disciplined, but you're freaking obsessed with this. And I go, thank you. That's what I wanted to hear, and that's the impression that I want to give out to everyone else. Um, I am obsessed, and I don't care how many losses I take. I will make sure I learn something from that and keep on grinding. So learn from your mistakes. If you take a stop out, after you're done trading, review it, and then I go, did I follow my rules? If the answer is yes, then you shouldn't feel bad at all. But if the answer is no, then go back to your drawing plan. Well, I mean, why did you take the trade? Hell, even experienced traders that I know, every once in a while they'll get stopped out and then they go, damn, I didn't follow my rules on that one. I think we all go through that. But it's the discipline that you have to go through. The discipline. And you have to keep on reminding yourself that there's what is the main reason why you're taking this trade? Is it going in your direction? Does it meet your trade plan? And
You know,
that's it.
as you were describing that, my brain started thinking about something that I recently read, and it was that most people, especially in Western society, have the rage to accomplish a certain goal, right? They have a rage for the end result, right? So if you're trading,
Mm-hmm.
you have the rage for that profit. You want to see a growing equity curve. But the truth is that the really successful people have a rage to master something, right? They're obsessed. And that's when your wife
Yes.
said you're obsessed, it's because, and you know, it fits so well with this book that I just read. It's the rage to master something. Like nothing's going to take you away from it. Is that how you see yourself? Like you're like, forget
Yeah.
about the outcome. I just want to get this right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, we're at restaurants sometimes, and I'm looking at charts. We're at the movies, and I'm looking at okay, other people how they're posting up their trade analysis for that one particular pair I might be looking at. I am always looking at charts regardless. I don't care where we're at. I'm looking at charts, dude. I don't know if it's happened to you, but every once in a while, I'll still dream about charts and candles. I'll still dream about a particular currency, and I'm thinking that I'm actually looking at a live chart and like I'm actually living it. But when I wake up, I'm like, man, that was all a dream. That to that
you're
point.
dreaming. You're dreaming about charts, Luis.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's
You
that
got to
happens. That happens.
you got to condition. That's all I can say is you got to condition. You got to get that looked at, man. So what's the number one thing that you would tell novice traders to stop doing? Say, hey, stop doing that. That's killing your trading.
Over trading,
Over trading. Yeah. Anything else?
over trade. Stop doing it. It's mainly. Here's another thing. Listen, if you're trading and you went beyond your daily limit loss, you need to walk away.
Yep. You
You
gotta have you
really
gotta have a
need to
daily loss limit.
walk away. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I just
See,
recently did that.
here's good.
I just recently did that. I recently reprogrammed my spreadsheet to include a live calculation of what my daily loss limit is. And
Hmm.
it's the biggest number on my spreadsheet. And and I used to not do that. I used to not have that number. And now that I have that number in my face, so I know exactly what my maximum per trade loss is, but I also have a daily loss limit. And those are the two biggest numbers on my spreadsheet when I plug in my numbers to calculate my position size. And I'll tell you
Right.
that it's made a big difference in my thinking because I'm like, you know what? I don't want to take a trade that size. I don't. I want to play. I want to trade all day today. And so it really helps me to stay under the radar and not take big positions.
It's good.
Good piece of advice. Um, Do you ever talk your trade setups out loud? Do you ever sit there and while you're like, you know, you're in a room, your door's locked, the family's on the other side of the house. Are you talking out loud to yourself or is it all in your head? Just kind of
No,
curious.
it's all. No, no, it's all in my head. Though I used to do the overnight sessions a couple of months ago with Roger, and that actually helped out a lot. I'm not. That is, if anything, if there's, you know what? If there is a breakthrough moment that I've had was with Discord, and and I remember the first two trades I called out on Discord when people started logging in. As a matter of fact, the very first one went wrong, and I felt like I just pretty much did a disservice to a couple of traders that were actually taking the trade. And I felt so completely bitter with myself. Um, that I was finding ways how to punish myself and say like that was not, you should have never taken that trade. Why did you call it out? And I remember I went through about a week or 2 weeks of just I guess not necessarily pain, but there was just a complete like my moral went down. And then I said, no, you know what? I need to make this up to everyone. And I started studying charts more, putting more hours, and it just putting everything together. And quite honestly, when I was doing these overnight sessions, that's what made me a better trader. And this is why now I think I consider myself that I think I am with overnight trades or these higher time frames. I consider myself really, really good. Where I can
What time frames do you use for those?
weekly, daily 4 and daily 4:30.
Okay, it's very similar to what Ava's doing.
Wow.
So we've had a good chance. We're getting to the end here. We've had a good chance for me to ask you a lot of questions. Is there anything that we didn't cover in this interview that you'd like to share? Something that, boy, I really wish Raymond would have asked me that question. Is there anything like that?
No.
Any thoughts? Any last words of wisdom you'd like to share with folks?
I think I pretty much said everything. I mean, it's like what if there's anything I would do, it's just pretty much the same thing I told her. I think you got to be disciplined, uh, persistent, and I think one of the best words that my wife described me as is obsessed. Um, Even with anything, I think anything you do, um, with anything you do in life, whatever career you're in. Um, Listen, I think when I don't know, if it happened to you, but when you met or when we meet our spouses, you become obsessed with that one person. You try to do anything, whatever needs to be done for you to for that one person to be the love of your life, right? So when you're going out, when you first meet that one person and you want to, you know what, this is it, this is a person. I mean, you're doing whatever it takes. I mean, rejection after rejection. If she puts you off one day, you'll still keep on trying the next day until you accomplish it, right? Uh, this is what I mean. I mean, you gotta be relentless. You gotta be obsessed with this whole thing. Um, I think that's whatever you do in life.
I think it's good
I think
advice.
yeah.
That's great advice. Well, that wraps up our interview. I want to thank you, Luis. It was really informative. And so
Yeah.
we're going to be posting this up online, and I hope that people benefit from your wisdom. I really appreciate it.
Mm.
Take care,
No, thank
Luis.
you, Raymond.
Thank you very much.
All right. Take care.